Critical Friends is an activity you'll do multiple times throughout your high school career. As you are working on projects in different classes, you and your group members will come up with all kinds of ideas. Some will be good, some will be not so great, and some will be mostly good, but just need a few tweaks or additions. The point is to get feedback from other people. When we have ideas about things, we can get feedback from others to learn what they like about it and what we might need to change. Oftentimes as humans, we tend to get defensive when we receive feedback that isn't always positive. Sometimes we feel attacked or bullied, when really the feedback is meant to be helpful and there is no malicious intent involved. Critical Friends is meant to create an environment that will ensure people hear the feedback they need to hear without getting on the defensive and feeling angry or upset about what they heard. The Critical Friends protocol is very strict and structured. Each section of the activity is timed, and the times cannot change. So how does it work? First, the presenters have 3 to 4 minutes to share their ideas. They may not be interrupted. If the timer goes off, the presenter must stop speaking. Likewise, if the person runs out of things to say, he or she must wait in silence until the timer runs out. It is not meant to be awkward. The purpose is to give you a chance to think of any other things you'd like to add without being interrupted by others. The audience then has 30 seconds to ask any clarifying questions. This is not just any questions. It is specifically referring to clarifying questions. These questions are typically answered with 3 words or less. An example would be, how long will your video be? Or, did I hear you correctly when you said your video would have the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song? These are all questions that could be answered very quickly with a few words or less. The next minute is spent hearing the audience talk about things they liked. These should be meaningful and help with the project. It should not be like, I like the colors you used, or I like your slides. Those are vague and unhelpful. An example would be, I like your idea to save the rainforest because I think it is important to a lot of people. The I wonders are next. For 1 minute, the audience will give critical feedback in the form of I wonder. These could be things you might think need to be changed. For example, if you think something is missing, you might say, I wonder if you thought about adding a section to your poster that talked about how you will do that. Or, I wonder if your audience will get bored if your video is too long. For 1 minute, we talk about next steps. This is guidance for where the group can go from here. As an audience member, you could say something like, a next step could be to Google how many acres of the rainforest are cut down each year. During the likes, wonders, and next steps, the presenter is not allowed to talk. The presenter cannot respond to anything that is said, no matter how badly they might want to. They must wait for their turn to end. We have 1 minute for likes, 1 minute for wonders, and 1 minute for next steps. If the audience runs out of things to say before the timer is up, everyone sits in silence. Again, it is not meant to be awkward. It is meant to allow for time to think as we come up with more things we wanted to say. So that brings me to this last step here that says reflections by presenter. The last step is for the presenter. Just as the presenter had to be quiet while the audience gave likes, wonders, and next steps, the audience must now be quiet while the presenter reflects on everything he or she heard. For 1 minute, the presenter may reflect on anything they like. Try not to get defensive and respond in that way. No, my audience isn't going to get bored, or duh, I already looked up how many acres of the rainforest get cut down each day. This entire activity is meant to give you helpful feedback on your ideas. If you receive feedback that isn't helpful to you or doesn't apply in some way, just let it go and move on. Try not to get defensive about the things you heard. That is how Critical Friends works. Now you must take a quiz to show your understanding. This is no pressure whatsoever. You are welcome to revisit this video or just the slideshow as you take the quiz. If you get any questions wrong, just retake the quiz and get them right. So don't stress out over the fact that you have to take a quiz.